What's up, y'all? A&J back, and we're coming at y'all with the best of pro wrestling and sports, the best of sports and pro wrestling. Either way you slice it up, you want the best of both worlds, you want to be right here. So, with that in mind, definitely hit that like, share, subscribe down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And don't hesitate to leave a comment down below so we can keep the conversation going beyond the video. And speaking of subscribers, I actually figured it out, y'all. We're going to go over some of the new subscribers. I can't go over all of them. We had a jump over the last couple of weeks, going from 121 to 139. Again, I know that's not anything to consider overly significant, but it's huge because that's actually a really good increase, and hopefully we're looking forward to more of that forthcoming. That being said, we'll just go ahead shout out some people, starting with Alex Magic 14, and apologies if I messed this one up, but Paul Duvino, and of course Ruby Borlas, Hadriel XP, Rated R Superstar, Big On, Conservative Patriots, Elon Not Musk, funny one there, John Urbanek, Nelson LaChapelle Jr., Donald Cody, Umar Headcutter, Unbearables 2025, and George Davis II. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. Again, just seeing this increase is huge and absolutely means a lot, and it obviously gets us a lot closer to monetization, but more than anything else, I just appreciate y'all for coming through. So thank y'all very much on that. We're going to be working on some incentives on this one, so look forward to that being discussed in future videos. But for now, we're going to jump right into business, and we got to talk a little bit about Jordynne Grace. Not so much Jordynne Grace, but her new music. Like, if you saw NXT last night, you know what I'm talking about, and it's, needless to say, it's just god-awful. I thought we were done with this Def Rebel thing. I thought their contracts were up, whatever the case may be. Why are they still using their stuff? I don't get it. And even worse than that, there's this talk about big names, particularly Limp Bizkit, coming through specifically for Braun Breaker and the new music he's going to have out at some point. I mean, it's just wild to me that this is still a thing, and as I've noticed, there are quite a few people that are having the Def Rebel issue. I hope at some point in the long run we're done with this, but more than anything else, I need this to actually be something that's changed for Jordynne Grace specifically, given the fact that she is expected to make the jump from NXT to SmackDown probably around the time of the draft, which I'm hearing is probably going to be closer to SummerSlam time, but we'll be finding out obviously in coming weeks. We have, of course, Night of Champions to get through. Of course, I won't be partaking in any of that, and of course the big weekend where they're trying to sabotage AEW once again with Saturday night's main event, Evolution, as we'll talk about here, and of course Great American Bash, which is going to be the Saturday of Saturday night's main event. But either way, hopefully this is something that's changed by then. As I said, I don't think there can be enough said about that. But moving right along, we definitely have to talk about the great Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, as, of course, it's got to be brought up. Jonathan Coachman is still talking out both sides of his mouth, saying that, of course, this isn't as fresh, but at one point he did say that Britt Baker is expected to sign with WWE at some point. Not so fast, my friend. Turns out that, of course, Fightful has confirmed that she did actually sign a contract extension back in 2021 for 5 years, which means she won't see an expiration of said contract until sometime in 2026. Now, that being the case, I don't know necessarily that she'll stick around for the entirety of the contract at this point, given the way things have gone recently, being that she hasn't been on TV for at least a full calendar year at this point. And not only that, just the fact that there still seem to be backstage issues with a number of women in the AEW locker room. I don't know whether or not that's going to be such a thing to where that can't change to where she can get at least a final run on said contract. I would like to hope so, but I guess only time can tell on that one. Either way, I'd like to think that in the event that Britt Baker actually does become available for a transition to WWE, WWE would be more than happy to make that happen. Obviously, we've seen a contract signing to make Mariah May as a part of NXT official. And of course, she'll be getting her shot at JC Jane in the NXT Championship, as based on everything that actually unfolded during last night's episode of NXT, particularly towards the end after said contract signing. I feel like this is going to be really, really interesting to keep your eyes on over time, but we'll see. Nonetheless, we're probably not going to see any time right away the way a lot of people thought, namely Jonathan Coachman. But yeah, that's really all I'm going to say about that. And we'll just move on to the main topic of the video here, which of course is the unfortunate injury suffered by Liv Morgan this past Monday night. Dislocated shoulder, as it's been diagnosed, and she is said to be out for the next 3 months or so. Now, one thing to be pointed out about this, a lot of these injuries as they happen tend to be a bit embellished. They say 3 months. There's a good chance it could be sooner than that. We may see her back possibly in time for SummerSlam. I don't know. I'm not saying that's necessarily what's going to happen. It's just unfortunate, especially coming off of the movie shoot that she had just done overseas, and you felt like because of that, this was actually going to be a really good year for Liv Morgan, but this is actually a setback for that. There is actually expectation that we could see vacating of the women's tag titles. That may not necessarily be the case, as there is actually a loophole that WWE could navigate using Freebird rules to have Roxanne Perez take the place of Liv Morgan, especially given that the expectation was that at Evolution 2 there was going to be a women's tag title match between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez challenging the returning Bella Twins. That could still actually come into play. You just have Roxanne fill in for Liv. And if nothing else, it actually gives that storyline within Judgment Day an awful lot more dynamic that it actually didn't have maybe a month or so ago, before Roxanne was actually called up to the main roster and ultimately moved to ultimately join Judgment Day. But yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see how all this unfolds. Definitely prayers and best wishes to Liv Morgan, and hopefully we see her back sooner than later. It's just really unfortunate, as you know, she's actually been on an uprise when it comes to momentum again. The movie shoot, and obviously she's one of the biggest stars in the women's locker room for WWE going right now, and you just hate to see these kind of things happen. And just as nasty as the injury looked in that situation, you just can't help but hope for the best. But even with that being the case, we'll just leave it at that for right now. Y'all know what it is. Like, share, subscribe down below. Don't forget that notification bell. But more than anything else, let me know what y'all think down below. And with that being said, this has been your time with A&J, and I absolutely appreciate you spending it with me.